Lime Books present Overpopulation. Episode 2, Occipital Worm. Scene 4. Phillip and Zara fly to Florence. It was the week before the wedding, and Banks and Zara had flown to Florence for Zara's dress fitting. She had chosen materials and designs online, but her designer worked in Florence and needed her to visit his studio for the final alteration. They ate breakfast leisurely. Banks drizzled manuka honey over his Greek yogurt, fruit and chia seed bowl. He poured a long black and ate poached eggs with tomatoes on ciabatta, then read the forecast. Clear skies with a top of 24 Celsius. They both had new outfits to dress in, and with a list of important sights to see. But first, Banks had a research institute to visit. They were a DM-owned company making progress with fertility treatments. His appointment was for 10 a.m. He made his visit and joined Zara by midday. Once reunited, they set off on foot to explore Italy's most romantic city, Florence. As they walked towards Ponte Vecchio, the fading glow of autumn sun hit the river Arno and made it shimmer like a lake of Chianti. The stone buildings gave off warm highlights of lemon, saffron, and cayenne. As they strolled along, a guitar player picked out the tune to Unforgettable. Tourists stopped to crowd around him. Simply sharing time with Zara, Banks felt the world to be a kinder place. Something he never thought through his job. In banking, every feeling had its price. He put his arm around Zara and hugged her. They looked at one another. It occurred to him that he was in love. "I can't believe we're here," stated Zara. They smiled at one another. Banks kissed her forehead. It was the first time he had ever kissed her in public. As they broke away, she suggested, "Let's get a photo." "No, let's remember it the way it is." "Come on, one photo. This must be the most romantic city in the world." All was well until she reiterated her desire for a photo. "Let's get a photo of us, here." "How can you capture this?" "I don't know, but I want to show Delilah and put it online." "Don't." Zara looked at him with an air of defiance. "It's just a photo." "But it's our moment. Why share it with social media? It's not a big deal." Annoyed by his insistence not to pose together on the Ponte Vecchio, she took her own photos. As they walked in awkward silence towards Piazza del Signoria, Banks reprimanded himself for being stubborn. But on the other hand, he wanted to maintain standards he believed in. The sight of Piazza della Signoria helped to wipe away the disagreement. A line from his father's book crystallized in his head. "History is a lesson to man that despite progress, the world was once a better place." While Zara admired Baccio Bandinelli's grotesque and faintly obscene statue of Hercules and Cacus, Banks stared up at the balcony of Palazzo Vecchio, from which Mussolini had proclaimed, "Il Duce ha sempre ragione." Banks thought to himself, I was right. They ate lunch beneath Basilica di Santa Maria del Fiore, at a little cafe with outdoor seating. It was warm and they sat in comfortable silence, nourished by pasta, red wine, and an endless parade of tourists to observe. But the damage had been done. There was an air of hurt between them. So, when Banks took a business call, Zara strolled off towards the Duomo. "Hey, wait!" Banks paid the bill hurriedly and headed for the cathedral, knowing that Zara had wanted to climb the cupola. Once inside, he was swallowed by the voluminous space. There were so many places she could be. He checked the ticket booth But she was not there. Though his rational self told him that it was ridiculous to worry, a mild panic began to settle in. He walked the length and breadth of the cathedral and could not find her. He wondered if married life would be a little like this. He called her device. It diverted to a pre-recorded message. Without knowing what to do, he decided to enjoy Florence by himself. An hour later, back at their hotel, Zara was in their room unpacking clothes. "Why did you leave?" "I had to go for my fitting." "You could have told me you were leaving. I didn't know where you'd got to." "I told you." "No, you did not." "I did. You just weren't listening, as usual." "Let's meet back here at 5 and we can go to dinner together." "Must go. Excited. Woohoo!" Zara pecked him on the cheek and left the room in a rush. The door closed. Banks looked around his hotel room. He walked over to the balcony and looked out over Florence. There was a certain glow about her buildings that put him in a trance. Then his phone went. It was Billy. "Trouble. Vitellius is counterbidding." 8 p.m. Hotel room. Zara had returned, and they sat cross-legged on the floor, facing each other. She was practicing her meditation patter. "Imagine you are walking through a large field of violets. Violets as far as the eye can see." She spoke in dreamy tones. "You lie down. You are on a carpet of violets." Zara tapped the crown of her head. "I want you to focus on your crown chakra. Feel the vibration." She considered her fiancé's looks. Did he look younger than his 40 years? Banks was miles away. He had heard everything Zara said, yet registered nothing. He was preoccupied by the call Billy had made earlier. A deal they were working on was now in jeopardy. "The crown chakra represents your spirituality." She reached across his chest to touch his fingers. "Its colour is violet." Banks was aware that this explanation, the colour violet, was expected to produce in him an aha moment. As her eyes awaited, like automata, his features arranged their response. "It seems I only have 60% of you," she said. No, it's just—" Vitellius is threatening to scuttle our takeover plans, he thought. He didn't know how to explain. "You know, you could share it with me," she suggested. "Isn't that what marriage is all about?" she thought. "If we are to be husband and wife," and she lowered her tone, "we need to trust one another." "You wouldn't understand," said Banks. "Oh, forgive me, I'm just a stupid woman." "Ha! If you must know, someone is outbidding us. He's just offered 1.9 and we are at 1.88. "What, 1.9 million?" "No." He admired her wonderful eyes, her raven hair, which shone like the pelt of a wild jaguar. "It's not always about money," he said. "Oh?" She pulled her puzzled expression. "That doesn't sound like you." "Ha!" "Who are you buying?" she asked. "Zara, darling, you know I cannot say. That would make you inside." "All right." She raised her hand in surrender. "Anyway, I have some details to show you. A property I've found in Tanzania." "Oh, Zara." "It's incredible. Wait till you see it." "Shall we go to dinner?" They ate at the hotel restaurant. Banks ordered salmon, Zara lamb. "This salmon's good," said Banks, as he searched for the ingredients. "Tarragon with mustard and lemon." "Isn't it wonderful here in Italy?" she said. They chinked wine glasses and stared at one another, amazed that they had each other. "Wouldn't you like to just run away and start a new life, free from all the commitments of your job and London, and the dreary weather?" "Dreary weather? London is quite dry," said Banks. "But we could live such a more exciting life." "How?" "Africa. Oh no, not again, please. His pocket began to vibrate. We could grow our own food, she explained. The vibrating continued. Banks exhaled heavily. Oh, excuse me. He pulled his familiar, pained but apologetic look. 1 minute. It would not be a minute, that much she knew. With mild annoyance she watched him leave, wondering if he would return to finish his salmon. In reception, Banks listened to Billy's terrible Italian. Come la tutta vita amorosa. They were old colleagues. Phil, Vitellius is ready to meet. Where? He's at the West Inn Excelsior. Where are you? I'm at the Savoy, Piazza della Repubblica. Oh, not so far away. The West Inn's by the river. He wants to meet in 20 in the bar. Is that okay, Phil? What about the plan? I don't know. Counter-offer? No. Experience had taught Banks that throwing money at a problem seldom worked. I promised Lord Martin 1.88. He has to withdraw. Who is this young prick anyway? Where the fuck did he get 1.9 million from? Beats me. Who told you about him? Geoffrey Choi. That figures. All right, let's get this stitched up. Tell Vitellius I'll meet him. I'll call Choi en route. And Phil. Yes? Don't go solo on me. Don't worry, Billy. You'll hear everything. Banks returned to the restaurant to inform Zara of his meeting. She was on her phone, head cast down, with a disturbing hint of sadness to her face. She caught him observing her and closed her call sharpish. He witnessed her doing so in slow motion, as if the wheels of time had applied the brakes to emphasize significance. What added to the conspiracy was her attempt to conceal anything with a weakly feigned smile. He thought he saw red lines in her eyes. What's wrong? It's just that I'm here for my dress fitting and we are getting married and starting a new life and we're here and the food is wonderful and you needed to be at work and... Stop. We're in Florence. Hey. I know, she lightened. It's so magical. Her smile returned to form. Isn't it? He had to leave immediately. I hate to do this, but... Whilst walking towards the river, he called Geoffrey Choi. Hello, Philip. Where are you now? Florence. You marry yet? Next week. Tell me, Geoffrey, who is Vitellius? He is Italian. No shit. Next you'll be telling me he eats pizza. Listen, Geoffrey. Lord Martin wants this bad. I don't know why, but this Italian is fucking everything up. We don't know who he is or where he's from. Never underestimate your opponent. Can we quit with Confucius, please? Need to be subtle, like a Chinese. Can you help or not? What do you know about African politics? When you're in Shanghai, contact me. Bye, Philip. Click. On his way to the ground floor bar of the West Inn Excelsior, Banks made a quick call to Billy. Hey, Phil, I'm seeing Blodwen tonight. Did I tell you about the Norks on her? Not now, Billy. Business. Yeah, you're right. Is he there yet? No. Banks checked the time. He could feel the control of the deal slipping away. Half an hour later, he was on his second drink and felt resigned. He called Billy again. He's not going to show, is he? Of course he is. Spoke to Choi. All he could tell me was, check your African politics. What does that mean? No idea, but I intend to find out. Vitellius never showed. Before returning to Zara, Banks checked in with Lord Martin and Henry Delange online. They were sat in the boardroom. Well? Vitellius didn't show. I see. Have you read the book yet? Yes, it's a poem about a monk. I'm not sure what it means. Your father didn't take risks, Philip, did he, Henry? No, stated Henry, who shooed Lord Martin's dog Langton from his ankles. He had a knowing, added Lord Martin solemnly. Charles was a brilliant strategist with links to the Guard. To the deepest level. I trust you understand my meaning." Banks had only a vague idea what that meant. There was so much about his father he did not know. Meanwhile, a snarling Langton had locked jaws onto Henry's sock and was pulling at his leg. Disturbed by the attack, Henry waggled his leg to and fro. Langton proved unyielding and began growling through his clenched teeth. Grrr! In a fit of pique, Henry kicked the side of Langton's head and immediately regretted it, as Langton sank his teeth into his leg. "Oh!" yelped Henry as Langton gnawed on his shin bone. "What are you doing, man? Leave poor Langton alone. He's a lovely doggy, aren't you, Langton?" Langton released Henry's leg and waddled over to Lord Martin, tail wagging to receive his pat on the head. "Who's a lovely doggy, eh, Langton?" "There's blood everywhere," screeched Henry. "Oh, don't be such a ninny. Certainly, Langton, you wouldn't harm a fly, would you, you silly, silly doggy? Gone through to the bone," said Henry. There was blood on Henry's fingers and suit trousers. "Blasted dog! Did you sink your teeth into poor Henry again? Oh, Langton, you must stop that." The previous bite had only recently healed. "Yes, he blasted well did. You should get that dog put down." "I hope you are not referring to Langton. He will be the most offended if he were to hear that. He's a lovely doggy, aren't you, Langton? Isn't he, Henry? Well?" As Henry dabbed his ankle with a blood-stained handkerchief, he sensed that Lord Martin would not let it go. So, with heavily disguised enmity, he admitted that Langton was a lovely doggy. "Your father wasn't a man to leave things to chance, Philip. Keep reading the book. It holds the answer." Banks agreed. "I want you back in London. I'd like you to pop over to the Dorchester for me. Meet with Rashid. Once done, I would like a report." The screen went blank. Banks wondered how he would break it to Zara. They were booked into their hotel for 2 more days. Maybe I can leave her here. When he broke the news that he had to return to London, Zara was outraged. "We have to do what?" You have been listening to Overpopulation, the hidden agenda for global reset. Book 3 in the Philip Banks trilogy by Robert Salisbury.